What's up, guys? I'm SaltEMike, and this is your Star Citizen Week in Review for September 16th, 2024. 3.24.1 is now live. It is certainly ship sale season, and the new MFDs look and might feel amazing. All that and more on today's Week in Review. And as always, if this is your first week in review, this is where I take all of the official Star Citizen news each week, put it into one video, and share my opinions about it. I also live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/SaltEMike. You can stop by and say hi. It's always nice to see you guys coming over from YouTube. But before we get into that, let me share with you today's sponsor. Thank you to Magic Spoon for sponsoring today's video. Growing up, I ate cereal every morning, sugar packed cereal, because it was so convenient before school, and I really need that convenience now with my early morning schedule, but with higher quality, higher protein, and no artificial ingredients. Magic Spoon has my mornings covered now, and it fits a variety of lifestyles. It's high protein, keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, wheat-free, and naturally flavored. And while all that is great, it gives me the nostalgia of my childhood. The texture and tastes are right there. Magic Spoon cereal has 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and 4 to 5 grams of net carbs in each serving, so you can feel good about what you're eating. Magic Spoon treats have 11 to 12 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar, and 1 to 2 grams of net carbs, so you can always get the fuel you need on the go as well. Use my code SaltEMike or click the link in the description to try Magic Spoon cereal today and get $5 off. You can also find Magic Spoon on Amazon now or in your nearest grocery store. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee online. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund you your money, no questions asked. So click the link in the description and go to magicspoon.com/SaltEMike for $5 off. Thank you, as always, with engaging with the sponsor. I ate a bowl of that pretty much every morning this week, but we have a ton to get through, so let's jump into the patch updates. All right, on Monday, we had a PTU for the .1 patch. This was pretty Argo Atlas focused, where they updated the animations. It also felt a little faster, and they reduced the throw speed by 33%. It used to be crazy, but for bug fixes, we can not fire weapons in the suit anymore. You were able to fire FPS weapons, and it was super weird. But they also fixed stacking issues from what I can tell, but I don't know if it was just I was using it wrong previously. I had a better view this time to the top of another box. So using this with the Connie was a lot smoother than it was when I was in the C2 last. For the actual patch, and the most important fix of the day, in my opinion, is they resolved the issue where if you selected a bunch of items, only one came up from the elevator. I had almost 1,000 SCU show up in this video that you guys are watching. Tuesday, another .1 PTU, and they upped the speed, and specifically the sprint speed of the Atlas. They also mentioned fixing collisions with it, but as you can see, nothing there stopping me from going through the elevator on the Connie. For bugs, they fixed an issue with dragging a single item. That seems fixed as well. At resting height of the box you're carrying as well on the Atlas, it used to be really high. Now it goes below the roof, so you're not banging into it. And it doesn't say in the notes, but the Moby Glass now works in the Atlas. Wednesday, another .1 PTU, and they just made one change, but this is one people have been asking for since 3.18. There's no more collision damage when you are tractor beaming something. So when the tractor beam is on, no more collision damage. The moment you take it off, the collision damage with boxes and things like that begins. I use the Connie because it has been exploding a lot during the cargo missions for people. You can still throw a box and damage stuff, but not while the tractor beam is active. For bugs, it's a bit more of the same stuff they've been seeing. Fixes for unclaimable ships, elevator panels losing functionality, that kind of stuff. Thursday, now this is kind of the big news for the week, they did a meshing test, and we finally got that test we've been looking for, and it went really, really bad at the start. They did a 100-player test that I didn't get to see. That was like their baseline test. I was getting a haircut, but I got into the 500-player test, which was the second one with meshing, and it was a disaster. I was stuck on the menu, and when you could get in, the interaction delays were minutes long. Basically, the same horrible experiences we had had before. So naturally, they did a 1,000 player test, and it failed completely. I don't think it lasted more than 10-15 minutes. Next, they did a 350 player test with 4 servers, so averaging less than 100 players per server, and it went okay. I was actually able to see players, some notable sync issues here and there, but I crossed a server line in quantum travel without being dropped out. So they seem to think things went really well internally, but externally, I don't think I saw enough improvement from taking months to refactor RMQ. Benoit even posted in testing chat that RMQ was great, but something else is causing interaction delays. So I would like to remind everyone last week that he explained that this rework for this tech that took a really long time was going to improve interaction delays, and obviously there's something else going on here. Now, I'm not saying he's lying, right? Because I don't think he is. But how do I know? So the next test is hopefully going to see tangible fixes. Like, okay, RMQ is good. There's other issues here. Let's fix those other issues. And like, I just don't feel that this server meshing test improved enough for the amount of time that we had to wait for it, right? Like, we were waiting so long, you were hoping that other things would have worked better. I think I tested for like 7-8 hours, and I maybe had 30 minutes in game, and most of it was clicking on elevator panels, right? So hard to say it was a success. Thursday, they then closed the test preview for server meshing and did a 324.1 PTU, and they only fixed some bugs in this patch, and not too many were of note. So they were close to kind of being done with the PTU, and naturally that brought us to 324.1 live on Friday. And I'm enjoying this little cargo hauling project that I've been up to, which is testing, like starting out with just a starter, going through all of the ships that they've provided for rent, and just kind of seeing how that feels, and going up by SCU numbers. And the Cutlass tractor beam works pretty good. I'm at member rank, and I'm enjoying that. Outside of that, they are selling the Argo Atlas with a ton of pates. Each is $5, and the Argo Atlas is $35 Warbond and $40 with store credit. You know where I stand on this. I want one situation where CIG puts something in game for the players over funding. This is a situation where they made handheld beams worse, and it looks like just to sell this. What should have been a minimum was leaving the beams because, like, the same way as the Atlas, or just not having the Atlas. I guess leaving the beams as they were, because the Atlas is so much better at moving things from distance, and simply, especially with the changes made in the PTUs, that you can't damage ships anymore with it, right? I have yet to purchase one. I did not receive one from CIG. I might buy some skins and wait for it to end up for in-game purchase. That's a funding model I support. I do not support creating a problem to sell a solution. Then we had a Squadron 42 monthly report, and as per usual, there was not a whole ton to pull out here in regards to something that could affect Star Citizen. So link is in the description if you're looking into really vague posts about what the team is doing with Squadron. But I will put 2 items that I think could be seen in Star Citizen, maybe in the short term. For animation, I think we will all expect to see zero-G traversal sooner than later. And if meshing isn't as important as many of the devs say, work on a number of different enemy animations will come into play at some point if AI functions better, right? And then for graphics, global illumination stuff seems to be moving along nicely that we saw at CitizenCon. Hopefully we see this in game soon. They also seem to have the fire system wrapped up, so we may see that with resource network stuff and 4.0, right? And that's really it. So check it out in the links if you need to, but let's move on to video updates. All right, and we'll start out with an ISC title 324.2, Zeus and MFDs. So the first half of the show is talking mostly art about the Zeus CL and ES, and it is very cool looking. But we got many shots of the exterior and even the interior walkthrough. And they show the crazy tractor beam that it has as well. So if you want to see that, full link of the ISC is in the description. But the first clip I will share is about the team describing the differences between the CL and the ES.
The ES is the exploration-focused variant of the Zeus, so it has a modest-sized cargo bay, larger hydrogen and quantum fuel tanks, a larger radar, and a more spacious living area. The CL, the cargo version, maximizes its cargo capacity. It does that by shunting the sort of central bulkhead towards the front of the ship, so that increases the cargo capacity from 32 to 128 SCU at the expense of just really cramming in the living quarters to be much more compact. So weaponry-wise, across all of them, the pilot has access to twin size 4 guns.
Enemy down.
And the side seats have access to the remote turrets.
And I have to say, the way the ship looks, I want to have it as my daily driver, but I like industry stuff and logistics. I do not see a ship with a short roof and 3 SCU in stacking height, meaning you cannot stack 2 SCU, 8 SCU, 16 SCU, 24 or 32 SCU boxes on top of each other. Well, I guess not 2, but yeah, you can't stack big boxes on top of each other that are too high, because then you would be past the ceiling. And on this one in particular, the 3rd SCU is at the very tippy top of the ship's ceiling. So it's very hard to get things in there. I never see this ship as a useful hauler simply because of that. And it's unfortunate because it's absolutely beautiful. Next up, the new MFDs. They start out with all the different manufacturers they've made so far.
There's Aegis.
It's very militaristic and it's very sleek. Anvil is great. I love the green color of Anvil. It feels a lot more like an F-16 cockpit. Drake is my favorite. It's retro and Blade Runner and CRTs.
There's Argo.
It really feels like a piece of industrial equipment, which is what the brand is going for.
And there's the generic style that will support all the other ship manufacturers for the time being.
I want to love the Argo, but I think Drake might be my favorite. Which one is yours? Now, I want to preface the next clip with the fact that they shared a lot more MFDs, but a few of them were kind of just art refreshes with no functionality changes to them, and I'm going to focus on the ones that fundamentally changed, but the ones that are just kind of art and are target status MFDs, shields, and the raycast HUD that we kind of used to have in the original Arena Commander, right? And then they share with us the first updated MFD.
Self Status includes all of the critical information about your ship dependent on your current operator mode. So you'll have your ammo numbers in guns mode, you'll have your missile arming in missile mode, and your fuel readouts in quantum mode. There's also a unique version for turrets as well. And it links into the new systems that have been developed in terms of vehicle features. For example, it shows your updated gimbal modes, and it also shows your current weapon group, which is a new thing as well.
Self Status is a complete revamp, and I really like it. I love that it changes with your status, and it was so much cleaner than what we have now. Next up is the weapon config screen. Weapon
config is entirely new. It links into the new weapon grouping system, so it will list out every single weapon on your ship. The ammo that you have, they'll light up if they're selected, and also it allows you to assign them to one of 4 custom groups, so you can have any combination of weapons that you want firing at the same time, and it makes it easy to see which group of weapons you're firing.
Guys, I live for the day that swapping weapon groups truly matters in a fight. This is a big step in that direction. Now it's the weapons and the enemies that you fight that needs to change. Now, we don't know a whole lot about this one, but color me interested.
For new screens, the biggest one is power management.
Engines on.
It's a simplified version of what you'll find on an engineering terminal, but it's for sort of daily use for the pilot.
It's using the full power of the resource network system, and it gives it to you right there in the pilot seat, so you can do the full assignments as you like them if you're flying solo. This is also where you will see your emissions, so if you're doing anything stealthy, you go into power management, you set your settings to low, and you will see your emissions adjust accordingly.
You can turn on and off different systems in the ship. You can apply different levels of power to each system. You can see your total output, how much you're using, and you can also see different status those readouts for those systems. So if something has run out of power or it's offline, it will also represent that on the power management MFD.
I still think we have a lot to learn about Resource Network before we can really lose our minds here and be super excited, but the first thing to note is the pilot of any ship, single-seater or multi-crew, will have the ability to manage this if they choose. So Resource Network feels less tedious, and I think they heard the feedback on that from what we saw at CitizenCon last year, and I think many others expected it to be tedious, and this seems like a pretty good middle ground for that. And did you notice when they added more power to the guns, they shot faster? What about shields? What about engines? How is this going to play into things? Some decently large changes are coming, it seems. Then we hear about diagnostics.
The diagnostics view is where you go to check in on your ship. If something's not feeling right, well, maybe check diagnostics.
It will show you the where that component is taken, as well as its current health and its status, whether it has any errors, and there'll be a summary at the top of the screen that shows you how many of your components have errors.
I personally hope we can ping areas for players from here, like, hey, go and clear that fire over there if the pilot chooses, or the engineer. This seems like it would come in handy. And the last, but definitely not least, the config screen.
And last, what I'm really excited about is the configuration screen. It takes a lot of the settings that were hidden away in the options menu or just in the back end and puts them right there for you to toggle in-world on your MFD screen instantly.
The configuration view is great. You can now turn off unwanted UI if you really wish to. You can turn off the casts, which is my favorite part. If you have screens on the top left and top right of your screen, then you can turn off those casts now to clear the UI a little bit.
So this configuration screen allows you to configure a few aspects of some different MFD states, as well as what goes on your HUD and how that looks.
You can finally control what goes on our HUD?
We can finally control what goes on our HUD, yeah.
Yep, this one's huge. The escape menu is really clunky, and yeah, having this at the tip of your fingers right in your ship is really nice. It seems highly functional and fairly easy to add more settings in the future. Then we had a Star Citizen Live. I'm keeping this short. It was a cargo Q&A. We've been talking about cargo for months and months and months. Basically, this was what went wrong and what we want to do in the future, right? So both things that unfortunately don't matter, right? It doesn't matter what went wrong as long as you change it, and it doesn't matter what you say is coming in the future, because we know that always changes. So link is in the description if you guys are interested in that. But I'm going to start out with the two things that caused the 324 delay.
There was kind of a consideration with those systems about, right, we're going to go in here, we're going to make some big changes. We know we have to in order to make all of this hangar stuff work. But these are kind of older systems. Do we rewrite them? Do we, largely refactor them, or do we try to keep them largely intact, but with the smaller changes that we need, hopefully smaller changes that we need to get us out? We wanted to hit the release date sooner, so we made the call that we were not going to largely refactor or rewrite them for this release. In retrospect, I'm not sure, like if I could do it again, I would be interested to know, would it be longer, actually, if we just decided to just rewrite them or refactor them first? The good news is that we already are planning on doing just that. And in fact, transit is already in progress with the new version, which needed to happen anyways for server matching and all this stuff.
This continues on the video that I talked about a few weeks ago, and the reason that I clipped it out is because to kind of hammer home the point that nobody understood, I guess, they chose to band-aid transit and ATC instead of focusing on making them work, and it really cost them this patch. The second to last clip, or the second and last clip, I should say, is where Jared reached out to other devs that work on hangars about questions on hangar customization and clutter.
I'm going to read these notes from directly from Ian and Rick here, so these are just their words. We plan to add garage modules. So we don't intend to expand the pavement, but there should be more room for vehicles when you could basically add on modules and expand the hangars to the left and right and to the front and back in the different sections. The plan is for personal hangars to be able to be customized. and expanded in the future with the addition of these hangar modules. The exact list of modules are still being defined at this point, so I'm not going to be able to give you a list of whether it's a firing range or something like that. And as far as cleaning up the garbage around the end, we want to split the data for instance hangars and personal hangars separately so that we can completely remove everything in the personal hangars while still leaving some form of dressing and world building in the instance hangars. The freight elevators are positioned a bit awkwardly in the hangars for loading and unloading in relation to the ship pad where you land. A lot of the hangar ramps are in the back and the freight elevators off to the side. Has the team considered moving the elevator to accommodate these? This goes back to the same hangar modules. So of the hangar modules will also be where you place the freight elevator.
Personally, I'm nervous about this one. On the one hand, we should be able to customize our stuff, and that sounds really good. On the other, look at the Atlas. They're just going to sell this stuff, so why does it even matter, right? And then for other updates, we start out with a sneak peek. This continues to be the theme of the week, month, year, or decade. This has nothing to do with Pyro, nothing to do with Star Citizen even. This is teasing the Pirate Week sale, I think. That's it. It's probably like an Arena Commander reward or something like that. Dev posts. The first one is really big in length, but also in importance. They have told us for quite some time that with the addition of Resource Network, they can see making some large changes to how many or what size components some ships will use. They go on to list a number of changes, but some look like buffs, specifically industry ships, and they look like they might be getting some like more tank or more health, while other ships like the Redeemer and Buccaneer are getting less. What we don't know is what sort of changes will happen to the actual components themselves. Right now, we can say, well, that went from 9k shield health to 100k shield health, and in some cases, that's kind of what's happening here. But what we don't know is what a size 3 shield may look like in this new system, right? We saw on the ISC that more power to a weapon gives it more fire rate. Well, are those maximum rates or something, right? So there's quite a few changes here that are probably coming that we don't really understand. I did a deep dive into this on the React channel. Check that out if you guys haven't yet. I just feel like they were trying to put the cart in front of the horse here or try to get ahead of something, and they're giving the community incomplete information, and the community is confused. The second post is quite simple. A backer notices that there was no altimeter on the ISC with the MFDs, and basically Yogi let everyone know that it's not gone, and in fact, they fixed a really big problem where once you're within 500 meters of the surface of a planet, you will always have the correct altimeter, and it will be kind of less precise when you're far away and very precise to the surface. It's sea level when you're over 500 meters. It is precise when you're at 500 meters. The last post is also from Yogi, but this one's about decoupled for all ship movement, including roll. They want to do this, but they have it disabled for now because the movements are a little bit too wild, and they might consider using the MFD kind of options for players to turn it on and off. Lore post, just another old Whitley's guide for the Prowler, and the only thing to reference here is that it got a little update recently to make it more stealthy as a dropship. And then Soul Singer. This one isn't super official, so I wasn't sure if I should include it, but it is certainly news. CIG filed for a trademark for something called Soul Singer. Nobody knows what it is. Everyone is speculating, and I'm going to say that if it's not Star Citizen or Squadron 42 related, and they're using backer funds, it's a problem. And that's really all that we have to say on that, right? There's not much to add, but that'll do it for this week. So thank you so much for watching. Please engage with the sponsor, and yeah, check out my merch if you guys haven't yet. And it was a crazy week this week. I think things are going to start slowing down leading up to CitizenCon. I think there's maybe 6 weeks left. So weekend reviews will probably be quite a bit shorter, even though this one was really, really long. So I think we maybe have 1 or 2 ISCs left and no SCLs. So yeah. I don't know if the game's going to sustain me that long, so I'll probably be on stream playing some other games and stuff like that. So check me out if you guys haven't yet. Hit the follow button, or excuse me, that's on Twitch. Hit the like button here. Hit subscribe if you guys are enjoying Weekend Review. And this outro's a mess. I'm exhausted. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next week.